Bridges, section 5.6, solving polynomial equations by factoring, part 1. Well, anyway, we've been working on factoring in this chapter, and here is going to be part of the usefulness of factoring is being able to use it to solve equations. And in order to use factoring to solve equations, we take advantage of what's called the zero factor property, also known as the zero product property in some textbooks. But the zero factor property says the following. This says that if A times B equals 0, then A equals 0 or B equals 0. Now that's a logical OR, so that means that they could potentially both be 0, but at least one of the two has to be 0. Okay, so whenever you want to solve an equation by factoring, you need to be sure that it's equal to 0 first. And if it's not equal to 0, you need to get it equal to 0. So let's do some examples to understand what's going on with that. So let's say I have x squared minus 6, or minus x minus 6, there we go, equals 0. So the first thing to notice is that this is equal to 0. So then what we have to do is we have to factor the left-hand side and see what we come out with. So remember, what we have to do is we have to see what will add up to -1, but multiply to give me -6. So that happens to be +2 and -3. +2 times -3 is -6. Oh, goodness. And, whoa, -2, or 2, +2 plus -3 is -1. All right. So now the question becomes, okay, now that I've got it factored, how does this work for finding the solution? Well, basically, using the zero factor property, that either means that x plus 2 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0. So if x plus 2 is equal to 0, you can get that by subtracting 2 from both sides, so x would be -2. And here, if I add 3 to both sides, I get x equals +3. And those would be my solutions to this equation. The quick way to do this is if I've got x plus 2, change the sign on the number. And if there's another number in with x, divide by the number in front of x. But since those are just 1x, you don't have to worry about that part. All right. So what if I had x squared minus 3x equals 10? Well, if you notice, it's not equal to 0. So what we have to do is we have to get it equal to 0. So the easiest way to do that would be to move the 10. So if I subtract 10 from each side, that would get this equal to 0. So I've got x squared minus 3x minus 10 equals 0. And then I would need to factor that. Well, what multiplies to give you -10 but adds to give you -3? X minus 5 and x plus 2. -5 times 2 is -10. -5 plus 2 is -3. And so my solutions would then be x equals 5, because 5 minus 5 is 0. And x equals -2, because -2 plus 2 would be 0. And again, worst case scenario, if you forget that, just set the two things equal to 0. Go x minus 5 equals 0, or x plus 2 equals 0, and then, whoa, that's a 0. And then just solve those for x. All right. 2x squared minus 12 equals negative 5x. Again, if you're going to do this by factoring, it's got to be equal to 0. So we add 5x to both sides, and we get 2x squared plus 5x minus 12 equals 0. This is one where it's not just a single x squared. I've got a 2x squared, so I can use my little factoring box. I could also use the little factoring box in the other ones. It's just a little extra work. So there's 2x squared, 5x, negative 12, which makes negative 24x squared. So remember, these two boxes have to add up to 5x and multiply down to give you negative 24x. So that'd be 8x and negative 3x. The greatest common factor between the 8x and the 2x squared would be 2x. 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 4 is 8x. And then this would be a negative 3. Your little butterfly. And so this would factor into 2x minus 3 times x plus 4. Now, the shortcut would be change the sign on the negative 3 and then divide by the 2. So that would give me x equals 3/2. And if I change the sign on the 4, I get x equals negative 4. And again, worst case scenario, you just say, okay, 2x minus 3 equals 0. Add 3 to both sides. 2x equals 3. Divide by 2, and you got 3/2. Okay. X squared minus 2x plus 16 equals 6x. Not equal to 0, got to get it equal to 0. So I subtract 6x, and notice I've got like terms here. So this is x squared minus 8x plus 16 equals 0. So what multiplies to give me 16 but adds to give me negative 8? That would be negative 4 and negative 4. And notice that the solution to either one of these would be x equals 4. And since it shows up twice, that's what's called a repeated solution. But that would be your answer. Do you notice an issue with this? If you said it's not equal to 0, then you're right. It isn't. I can't just say what number plus 3 equals 4, because obviously 1 plus 3 is 4, but then 1 plus 6 is 7, and 4 times 7 is 28. That's not equal to 4. The only way that that works is if that's equal to 0. So what we can do is we can go ahead and multiply this out right here, and then move the 4, and then refactor. So if I FOIL this out, I'm going to get x squared plus 6x plus 3x plus 18 equals 4. I can subtract 4 from both sides and combine my like terms. So I've got x squared, 6x, and 3x is 9x. 18 minus 4 is 14, equals 0. I factor it. So what adds to give me 9 and multiplies to give me 14? 2 and 7. X equals -2. X equals -7. There you have it. The assignment is on page 356, 22 through 38 even, 70 and 71.